New question. Member from Haliburton-Kawartha Lakes-Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Premier. For weeks following the tragic deaths in the Ottawa Valley, I asked the Attorney General and the Premier on how they intend to act on the recommendations made by the Domestic Violence Death Review Committee. They have yet to provide a satisfactory answer. According to the chair of the Local Community Policing Advisory Committee, Renfrew County's single probation officer is overloaded because of the failings of this Liberal government. The province's lack of support to probation and parole services in places like Renfrew County is the reason why repeat offenders like Mr. Barutsky have not been more closely monitored. Mr. Speaker, why has the Premier failed these victims by refusing to allocate the adequate resources to ensure that violent offenders are more closely monitored?
Thank you, Speaker.
Minister.
And I have received a copy of the October report on domestic violence with respect to what the coroner's work has done in this regard, and it contains a number of government-wide recommendations which I have reviewed. And as I've said before here, this is a very serious issue and should not ever be tolerated in Ontario, and we all have a responsibility to find out what else we can do. And the report, as the member opposite I'm sure knows, highlights the importance of public education and preventing domestic violence. And in terms of what happened in Ontario, the tragic incident that happened in Renfrew County, I did speak to the executive director of the Sexual Assault Centre there. And while we have a number of initiatives to support women and men who face domestic violence, we know there's more to do as well. Thank you.
Supplementary.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to go back to the Premier. Really, it is a matter of priority, and I appreciate the Minister of Women's Issues about the shelters. This is very much a serious matter that the government has not provided the resources to ensure that Ontarians can live in their homes without fear. And in the 2012, your government's own report from the review committee recommended that supervision for offenders on probation would benefit from ongoing collateral contacts to confirm the status of the offender. The report also said that when an offender fails to meet the terms, progressive enforcement must align with the level of risk. The oversight that is currently in place is just not acceptable. 3 women have lost their lives because of this government's inaction. And since I've been asking the question, so why does the Premier refuse to recognize the needs of the probation officers in Ontario so this doesn't happen again?
Please. Thank you. Minister responsible. Hold on. Minister responsible for women's issues.
Well, Speaker, the needs in rural Ontario are acute and real, and that is why the Minister of Community and Social Services and her ministry has invested significantly in terms of shelters, in fact, and services, which are an increase of 61% since 2003. And I just want to highlight, Speaker, if I may, when the PCs were in power, they cut shelter services by 29% in 1 year alone. They eliminated all counselling and support.
Order. Finish, please.
And that list, unfortunately, goes on and on in terms of the cuts that were faced by that sector. However, Speaker, our commitment is to supporting women who face sexual and domestic violence. We have our Sexual Violence Action Plan, and we have a permanent roundtable on